I never thought it would end like this. After everything I gave you.
This is the only way forward now.
The gold-plated fountain pen felt like a lead weight in Elena's hand. Across the Italian marble desk, Julian sipped a vintage scotch, the amber liquid catching the glow of the Christmas tree behind him. He didn't look like a man losing a wife. He looked like a CEO closing a minor acquisition. Outside, the Boston snow blurred the city lights into ghostly smudges. Elena's fingers trembled as she stared at the word plaintiff. "Sign it, Elena," Julian said, his voice a smooth silk shroud. "The house, the car, the alimony, it's more than you're worth." Welcome, story lovers. Before we begin, hit like and let us know in the comments which city you're watching from. "I'm worth more than a line item in your ledger, Julian," she whispered, her voice cracking. He laughed, a sharp, metallic sound. "You were a kindergarten teacher when I found you. I gave you a life of galas and designer silk. Without my name, you're just a ghost in a cheap coat." Elena looked at the fireplace, where her hand-knit stockings had already been replaced by his mistress's velvet ones. The betrayal wasn't just the affair. It was the way he'd methodically erased her identity for a decade. She pressed the nib to the paper. The ink bled into the fiber like a bruise. She signed her name, but as she pushed the document back, her eyes caught the hidden folder peeking out from Julian's briefcase, a medical report with her name on it. "Is that it?" Julian sneered, reaching for the papers. "Not quite," Elena said, her heart hammering against her ribs. "There's one thing you missed." Julian froze, his hand hovering over the signed decree. A smirk played on his lips, the arrogance of a man who believed he held every card in the deck. "The jewelry?" "Keep it, Elena. Consider it a parting gift for a decade of service." He pulled the papers into his briefcase, intentionally snapping the locks shut to signal the end of their marriage. "It isn't the diamonds, Julian," Elena said, her voice finding a newfound steadiness. She leaned forward, her eyes narrowing as she gestured toward the medical folder he had tried to hide. "Why is my name on a neurology report dated 3 months ago? The one from the clinic you told me was just for a routine executive physical?" Julian's face paled for a split second before the mask of indifference returned. "You've been stressed. I had the doctors run extra tests. It was nothing, just some vitamin deficiencies." He stood up, smoothing his Italian suit, ready to usher her out into the freezing night. "Go home to your mother, Elena. It's over." She didn't move. She remembered the dizzy spells he'd dismissed as female hysterics. The headaches he'd used to justify keeping her isolated in the estate. She realized then that the folder wasn't a gesture of care, it was a blueprint for her removal. If this story is touching your heart, subscribe now. More real, powerful moments like this are coming, and the next one is unforgettable. "If it was nothing," Elena whispered, "why did you forge my signature on the consent forms?" Julian's composure fractured. He lunged for the briefcase, but Elena slammed her palm onto the leather lid. The power dynamic in the room shifted like a tectonic plate. The man who had spent 10 years gaslighting her into believing she was fragile suddenly looked cornered. His eyes darted toward the security camera in the corner of the study, the one he used to monitor her every move. "You're delusional," Julian hissed, his voice dropping to a dangerous low vibrato. "I saved you." "Those tests were to prove you weren't fit to handle your own affairs. If anyone hears these accusations, I'll have you committed before the snow thaws." Elena felt a cold chill, but it wasn't fear, it was clarity. "I checked the bank logs, Julian. I saw the payments to Dr. Aris. You weren't treating a deficiency. You were paying him to falsify a degenerative diagnosis. You wanted me declared incompetent so the prenuptial agreement would be voided in your favor during a medical separation." Julian stepped closer, his shadow looming over her. "And who will believe the unstable wife over the city's biggest benefactor? I own this town, Elena. I own the doctors. I own the narrative." The phone on the desk suddenly vibrated, a sharp buzz that cut through the tension. Julian glanced at the screen. It was his lawyer, marked urgent. He reached for it, but Elena grabbed the phone first, her eyes burning with a fire he hadn't seen in a decade. "Answer it," she challenged. "Tell him the test results just leaked." Julian grabbed the phone, his face a mask of panicked fury. But it wasn't a leak. The screen displayed a live feed from the hallway outside. 3 men in dark overcoats were standing by the elevators, investigators from the medical board, flanked by 2 officers. The silence in the room became deafening as Julian realized the test Elena mentioned wasn't a medical one. It was a test of his own predictable greed. "You thought I was signing my life away," Elena said, standing tall as the heavy oak doors creaked open. "But I spent the last hour recording this entire conversation on the very security system you installed to trap me. Every word about the forged signatures, the bribes, and the falsified diagnosis is now on a secure cloud server." Julian sank into his leather chair, the gold pen rolling off the desk and clattering onto the floor. The weight of his own empire was crushing him. The investigators stepped into the light, their expressions grim. Elena didn't wait for the handcuffs. She wrapped her old worn scarf around her neck, the one Julian hated because it looked poor, and walked toward the door. She paused at the threshold, looking back at the man who had tried to erase her. The Christmas lights flickered, casting a cold blue hue over his defeat. Justice wasn't a gift. It was a reckoning she had built herself. "Cruelty is a choice, Julian. And today I choose me." She stepped out into the snow, finally free.